Okay, so welcome to this class. We are looking again at hot flushes. So last time when we looked at hot flushes, we were looking at the more sort of scientific reasons, so balancing out our hormones and to soothing our nervous system. So another theory that some women find works for them is to move the heat in the body into the lower part of the body, so into the legs. So what we'll be doing today is some standing poses. We will be holding them a bit longer than normal and really working to engage the muscles, so we kind of get like that muscle burning sensation in the body to create heat and move it away from the upper body into the lower body. I'm not saying for a minute that this will work for you, but it might help you. Either way, it's going to help to strengthen the lower part of the body and make you much more stable. So we're actually going to begin seated. I would recommend that you grab some water and have that handy, because I have already done this class and obviously the audio didn't record for some reason. I needed more water. It's quite a strong practice, even though it's not fast. So grab yourself some water. You don't really need any props unless you want anything for your shavasana. And maybe grab a cushion that you can sit up onto if seated on the ground is not comfortable for you. So we're going to begin seated. I'm just going to grab myself a cushion. So come to take a cross-legged position if that's available to you. If not, any other comfortable seat. So sitting up onto something just helps to get the pelvis into a position where you can sort of roll the pelvis forward, and that enables you to sit up much taller. So just resting the hands onto the legs or maybe down by the sides, wherever feels best for you. And you can give the shoulders a little roll one way and the other. Just see if you can relax the shoulders down, close down the eyes for a few moments. Just connect to your breath. Just notice how you're feeling today, where your energy's at. Notice what kind of mood you're in, whether there's any resistance to doing a practice today. The hard part's done, you're on your mat, but you always have choices. You can always skip parts out. You can always do as much as you feel you'd like to and then walk away. There's absolutely no pressure for you to do this entire practice in one go. Blinking the eyes open. So we're just going to do some Soothe grinds now. So just circling the body around, and there's absolutely no right or wrong way of doing this. So it might feel nice for you to allow the sit bones to lift up off the ground when you go to one side. Just rolling over the sit bones. You might like to round back as you come back, arch as you come forward. So just making circular movements with the upper body, almost like you're stirring a spoon in a cup. These can be as big or as small as you like. You can get the shoulders involved if that feels right for you. And it doesn't matter which way you started circling, because we are going to reverse directions now. So just giving yourself a chance to notice anywhere that might feel a little bit tight or restricted in your body today. And then coming back to centre. Lovely. So we're just going to bring the hands and interlace them behind the back of the head. Take the elbows nice and wide, and we're going to do our cat-cow in this position. So as you inhale, You're going to see if you can lift the chest, arch through the lower back, maybe looking up if that feels alright for you. And then on your exhale, start to round and curl everything in. Elbows come towards each other and drop the head. Inhale, lift. And exhale, curl everything in. And just moving at your own pace here. If you want to pause in one particular spot, you're most welcome to. And coming back to a neutral position, so lengthen the spine, not arching or rounding. And then we're going to take some side bends, so just going over towards the right first. Keeping those elbows nice and wide, make sure that you're not sort of folding forwards towards the leg. Imagine your body is between two panes of glass. And come back up through centre, take that side bend over towards the left. You probably notice straight away that you're not able to come quite as far as you would when you have a hand on the ground, but you'll still really feel that stretch into the side of the body. So go right again. Nice deep breaths. Back over to the left. Once more each side. Just make sure that your sit bones are staying on the ground. You're not sort of tilting and tipping to one side. So your lower body is pretty much staying put where it is, and it's just the upper body, so from the hips upwards that we're moving. Come back to a neutral position. And we're going to take a twist here, so twisting towards the right. Remember to keep those elbows nice and wide. And again, you probably notice you've not come as far as you might do when we have our hands on the ground. So if you were to place your hand on the ground and the other hand onto the leg, you're actually able to twist a little bit deeper, but you're using your arms to get you into that twist. And come back through centre, take it to the other side. And keep the elbows nice and wide, keep the head pressing into the hands, hands pressing into the head. It's going to help you to stay nice and upright. And back over to the right. And back to the left. Coming back to centre. So we're going to come into a butterfly pose now, bringing the soles of the feet together. I'm just going to remove my cushion now. And just holding on around the ankles, and we're just going to give our little butterfly wings a flap. It's a nice, gentle, bouncing, buoyant movement. Just to loosen up into the hip area. And then we'll take a little fold, so maybe walk the feet out a little bit further. Sit up nice and tall, and then just rounding over the legs. Doesn't need to be a deep fold. Allow the head to drop. Just soften into it. Feel that stretch into the back of the body. One more breath. Rolling all the way back up. So we're going to come to all fours now. So when you arrive, just checking that the wrists are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. We're going to take some hip circles. So you're going to lift that left leg up out to the side. So keep it bent so it's in this 90-degree angle still. And like the best analogy I have is a dog peeing up a lamppost. So if you lift that leg up, and then we'll start to make some circles. So see if you can really make the circles come from the hip, keeping the leg bent. They can be as big or as small as you like. And again, it really doesn't matter which direction you've gone in, we will be changing soon. So just noticing anywhere that feels tight or tense. Not trying to change it, just honour that as you move through your practice. Just be aware and change directions. And next time you lift the leg up, you're going to step it all the way to the outside of that left hand at the front of the mat. So coming into a really wide-based low lunge. And we're just going to make some movement here. So really anything goes. You could make some little circular movements. You could just gently sway side to side. Maybe you rock the hips back and straighten that left leg. Really be intuitive with your movement. See what your body needs. Lovely. And coming back to your low lunge. Keep the right hand on the ground and take the left hand and you slide it across the rib cage as you spiral the chest towards that left leg, and then extending the arm up if that feels okay for your shoulder. If not, keep the hand on the hip or maybe on the thigh. Just make sure that left leg is still hugging in towards the midline, it's not splaying out. And placing the hand back down, just step that left leg back. Just realign yourself if you happen to have landed a bit funny. And we'll move to the other side. So again, just like a dog peeing up a lamppost. Lift that leg out to the side and then start to circle from the hip. Lovely. Changing directions. And next time the leg comes up, we're going to step it all the way to the outside of the right hand, just like before, into this wide low lunge, just making any movements that you'd like to. Lovely. Coming back into your low lunge, keep the left hand down just like before. That right hand grazes across the ribs as you spiral the chest towards the right. Maybe extending that arm up, or maybe keep it on the thigh or the hip. Drawing that right leg in towards the midline. Imagine you're squeezing both legs towards each other. phases wherever is most comfortable for your neck. Lovely, and placing that right hand back down. Step the right foot back so we're back into our tabletop. You might want to just sit back onto the heels for a moment and give the wrists a little bit of love. Give them a little shake out, a little roll. Lovely. So before we move on to the standing poses, I just want you to focus on your breath during the standing poses, because they are quite hard work when we actually take the time to engage our muscles. Sometimes when we move through flows, we don't really have the time in the pose to engage everything, but we will do with these. So the breath I would recommend is in through the nose and out through the mouth. So inhale and exhale. And there's no right or wrong. You know, you could sigh it out, you can really force the air out. I just find that breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth is like the easiest way to help you focus and, you know, stop yourself from getting overwhelmed by the intensity. So coming back into your tabletop, just walking the hands a couple of inches forward, tucking the toes, and we'll be coming into downward facing dog. So when you arrive, don't worry too much about the shape that you're in. Just start to make some little movements that feel good for your body. So really stretching into the backs of the legs. You could lower one heel to the ground, bend the other leg, swapping sides. Wiggle the hips side to side. Whatever feels right for you. If you have particularly tight calves, which is something I always seem to have, it can be really nice to just plant one heel on the ground and just lift the other foot off the ground. Doesn't have to be far, just so that you're really pushing some weight into that side and you really feel a stretch into the calf then. And just changing sides. So maybe you bend and straighten the knees. Again, there's no right or wrong. And then we'll make our way to the top of the mat into a forward fold. So whether you want to jump or take a big step or baby steps, entirely up to you. When you arrive, bend the knees generously and then bring in opposite hands to opposite elbows. You can allow the upper body just to dangle and sway. Maybe keep the hands on the ground and gently slide them across one side and to the other. Give the head a little gentle shake out. Then release the hands to the ground and slowly roll your way up to stand. Just really take your time, stacking one vertebra on top of another, just allowing the spine to unravel, stack itself up, and the head will be the last thing to rise. And just give the shoulders a little circle one way and the other. I have my very own audience here. I'm being stared at. Lovely. So we will be starting in mountain pose. So exactly where you should be. Just check that your feet are parallel. Take them about hip width apart. We can actually bring them together if you prefer. Our first pose will be chair pose. But I find generally women have slightly wider hips and it can be quite uncomfortable to stand with your feet close together like that. So just see what feels comfortable for you. Arms down by the sides. Make sure you have a soft bend in the knees so we're not locking any of our joints out. Spine is nice and long. planting down through all four corners of the feet. So making sure our bones are really stacked. So the knees are over the ankles, hips are over the knees. And then we've got our shoulders over the pelvis and head over the shoulders. One long line. If you feel like your bum's sort of sticking back slightly, then just bring one hand to either side of the pelvis and bring it back underneath your body. It's one of those little bad posture habits that some of us have. And then we're going to inhale, take the arms up overhead. As you exhale, I want you to sit the hips back as if you're sitting into a chair. And just take a glance down and make sure that the knees are not going past the ankles. Make sure you can still see your toes. And then just notice if you're doing that little bum stick out. And again, just bring the pelvis back into alignment. So think of curling the tailbone down like you would in a cat-cow. And then the arms can either stay reaching up, or you could bring them onto the hips, or maybe even onto the thighs. So you're taking your weight back towards your heels, but not so much that your toes lift off the ground. Sitting a little bit lower if that feels okay for you. And again, just come back to that breath, breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Breathe through any discomfort. One more breath. And then we're going to fold over the legs. So just take a breath here. You could just maybe bend and straighten one leg and then the other. Lovely. Bring the hands either side of the feet, and you're going to step that left foot all the way back. So the front knee is bent. Just make sure your front knee is over the ankle and you're on the toes of the back foot. Left hand stays on the ground. Just like we did before, we're going to twist towards the right. So just sliding that hand across the rib cage, slowly unravel into the right, reaching the right arm up, or you could keep it on the waist or maybe on the leg. Gaze is wherever's comfortable for you. Make sure you're really rooted down through that right foot. And then coming back, we're just going to bring that right hand on top of the thigh, followed by the left, slowly lifting the chest up so we come up to stand. And then I want you to see if you can bring your body completely upright. So bring your pelvis right underneath you. You might need to step the back foot in a little bit and bend that back knee also, just to bring the pelvis underneath you so you're upright. And then inhale, maybe the arms go up, maybe the hands stay on the waist. Maybe you take some arm variation like bent elbows, anything you like, but the main focus is on the lower body. So don't worry about the arms too much. See if you can really engage. So from the ground up, when we do standing poses, we want to work the pose from the ground up. So pressing down into all four corners of the feet, stacking the knee over the ankle, engaging the muscles. So you have a sense of zipping the legs towards each other and press the back heel away. A lot to think about there. Lovely. And then we're going to open out into a warrior two. So we're going to start by pivoting that back heel down and then turn your body towards the left side of your mat. Just make sure that right knee didn't come along for the ride. Make sure it's still tracking in line with the toes. Adjust your feet if you need to so that your legs are a comfortable distance apart. And again, keep that front knee bent over the ankle. Have a sense of really firming up the inner thigh on the right leg and then press down through the outer edge of the back leg. So if you press down into the outer edge of that left foot, you're going to feel the inner thigh engage on this side too. And again, just like before, you could maybe take a traditional warrior two with the arms out. Maybe you take the arms up. I'm just going to keep mine right here. There's enough going on here for me. Come back to your breath. Have a little slight squeeze of the glutes. Feel all those muscles in the legs working hard. The legs are starting to burn. Just breathe through that discomfort. As long as it's not causing you any actual pain. Lovely. Then straighten the front leg. We're going to bring the heels in, toes out. You probably already guessed what's coming next. And then I want you to imagine you're, again, between two panes of glass and you're sliding your back down the wall as you bend into the legs. So you might want to take a traditional goddess. You might keep the hands on the hips or the waist. You might even bring the hands onto the thighs. Just really make sure that you're pressing those legs outwards so they're not rolling in. So we're really engaged and active. Really press down and root down through the feet. The more you press into the feet, the more you get this lightness and feel of lifting. If your legs are really, really burning, just straighten up a little bit. Remember, you can always just straighten the legs at any time it feels too much. Won't be here for too much longer. And straighten the legs. Just pause for a moment. Maybe give them a little bit of a shake. So we're going to go back the way we came here. So from here, we're coming back into warrior two. So turning that left foot parallel to the short edge of the mat. Right toes go forwards, bend into the front knee. Back into your warrior two. Maybe play around with some arm variations. Remember to root down through that right foot, firm up through the thigh, press into the left outer edge of the foot. So you really get a sense of these inner thighs spiraling inwards and engaging. Gently squeeze the glutes. And feel free to swear at me. I really don't mind. I can't hear you. Lovely. And then this is the tricky part. We're coming back into our high lunge. So from here, you're going to come onto the toes of the back foot and face forwards. And again, we want to bring our pelvis right underneath us. So you might need to step the back foot in a bit, bend that leg. Just make sure the pelvis is underneath you. So you're going to notice that really engages the quads on this back leg. Rooting down through that front foot. And then we're going to bring the left hand to the ground. Right arm reaches up into our twist. Squeeze the legs towards each other. Breathe out through your mouth. Plant the right hand back down. We're just going to step the left foot up to meet the right, back into our forward fold. And then we're coming into our chair. So start to sit the hips back first and then start to lift the upper body. Just check that your knees are not going past your toes. Bring the weight back. And then lengthen your tailbone down. So you could keep the hands on the thighs, maybe on the hips, maybe reach the arms up. Maybe sit the hips a little bit lower. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Next inhale brings you stand up all the way up. Give your legs a really good shake and a little bit of a wobble out. Grab yourself some water if you need to. Just going to take a couple of breaths, allow that energy to settle, allow your breath to settle. And then we'll repeat it on the other side. So you can stay exactly where you are. I'm just going to go to the other end of my mat so I'm not facing away from you. Whew. As you're ready, coming back to your mountain pose. Inhale, take the arms up overhead, lengthen up. As you exhale, sitting back into your chair. Remember to check the knees are not coming past the toes. Lengthen that tailbone down. So you find that length through the lower back rather than sticking the bum out. And breathe. And folding over the legs. Again, maybe you just bend and straighten each leg. And then plant the palms either side of the feet. Step the right foot all the way back this time. And keeping the right palm on the ground, we're going to twist towards the left. So that left arm extends up or maybe stays on the hip or the leg. Squeezing the legs towards each other. Press that back heel away. Lovely. Dial the heart back to centre. Left hand comes to the thigh, followed by the right. Coming up into our high lunge. Maybe adjusting the feet if you need to. And then again, just checking that that front knee is over the front ankle. And your body is upright, so you bring your pelvis directly underneath you. So maybe bending that back knee will help with that. And then press the back heel away. Remember to check your pose from the foundations upwards. So from the feet, ankle, knee, all the way up. I always find high lunge really it's a struggle for me on the left side. It really feels like a hard balancing pose. So if you struggle to balance in high lunge, it can be really helpful just to take your gaze to something that's fixed and isn't moving. And then we're going to open out into our warrior two. So pivot the back heel down as you start to turn towards the edge of your mat. Make sure that knee's not coming along for the ride. So adjusting the feet if you need to. Maybe you prefer a wider stance in your warrior two. And just check that your knee is tracking in line with the toes. Engage through the inner thighs. So really root down through that left foot. Press into the outer edge of the right foot. Gentle squeeze and lift of the glutes. Taking any arm variation if you wish to. This is one of those poses that when you see a picture in a magazine, it always looks so easy. You're like, yeah, I can do that. When you actually take the time to really engage your muscles, it feels like a lot of work. Or at least it does for me anyway. Lovely. Straighten that front leg, bring the heels in, toes out. Coming back into our goddess. So as you're ready, lowering your centre, imagine you're sliding down a wall. Only coming as low as feels okay for you. If your legs started to burn before, you know where you should be right now. Make sure that the legs are still spiraling outwards. We're not allowing the knees to drop in. Nice deep breaths. And straighten the legs. So we're coming back to our warrior two. So turn that right foot at an angle, left toes to the top of your mat, re-bend into that front knee. Just make sure it's stacked over the ankle, tracking in line with the toes. Again, really press down through the outer edge of the back foot. Press through all four corners of the front foot. Gentle squeeze of the glutes. I don't know about you, but my legs are really starting to feel it and getting a little bit shaky now. One last push. So we're coming back into our high lunge. This is the tricky part, coming onto the toes of the back foot. Remember to bring your centre underneath you, so you might bend that back knee just to come upright. Press the heel away. Really root down through that front foot. One more breath here. And then we'll bring the right hand to the ground and we'll spiral towards the left, take that twist. Really squeeze the legs towards each other. And planting the left palm down, step the right foot up to meet the left. Just taking a moment in your forward fold. One last standing pose to get through. You can do this. I'm not sure I can, but you can. You definitely can. Then sitting the hips back. Start to bend the knees, lift the chest, coming into your last chair pose. Nice and strong. Tilt that pelvis. So the tailbone comes down, lengthen out through the lower back. One more breath, you can do this. And press into the feet, come all the way up to stand, give the legs a little shake out. Well done. And if you didn't manage to do all of that and you needed to take some breaks, please do not worry about it. It was very, very strong, even for me. Lovely. And then we're going to come down to the ground now. So we're coming into a deer pose. We stretch out through the glutes. So with deer, I'll just turn this way to show you. You want to bring both legs at 90-degree angles. So we'll take the left leg forward first. So the knee is in line with the hip, and then the ankle in line with the knee. And the same with the back leg. So the knee is coming directly sideways, and then the leg goes back. And then from there, we're just going to take a forward fold. So this is like a variation of pigeon that's much kinder on your knees. So as you come forwards, if you can't feel much sensation, then you're going to just move to either side until you feel a stretch into the outer hips or glutes. So you might have to go towards the right or the left or directly centre. There's no right or wrong. Everybody will feel it in a slightly different place. So just really make sure that you lengthen up through the spine first. So I like to just push my fingers into the ground and really lengthen up and then hinge forwards. Otherwise I tend not to be able to find any sensation. And once you find some sensation, I just want you to see if you can relax the muscles and soften into it. So it really feels like that area is starting to unravel and unstick. And if that sensation disappears, maybe readjust yourself. Slowly lifting all the way back up. And then we're just going to change sides. So bringing the right shin in front this time, coming into that 90-90 position. Body faces forwards, lengthen up through the spine, and then start to hinge forwards. So for some people you might find that you come all the way to the ground. For me, it didn't really take long before I felt something. Maybe as you soften, you come deeper into it. So remember, you don't need to be in the centre, just see where you find the sensation. You may have to lean slightly to the right or the left. This is one of those poses that's actually really great to do while you're just sort of sitting watching TV. You can just get on the ground and do a few stretches. That's what I normally do anyway. I don't feel like my time is wasted as much. And slowly coming back up. I just want you to swing that left leg around to the front. We're going to come down onto our backs. You'll be very happy to hear. Just bring the knees in towards the chest. Have a little roll side to side. And then take the arms out. Keep the knees hugging in towards the chest. Take the arms out. And if it feels okay for you, bend at the elbows so your arms are a bit like goddess arms. So you start to feel this opening across the front of the chest. And then we're just going to lower the legs towards one side. So going towards the left first. Don't worry if the knees don't stay together. One feels like it's hovering, that's fine. Just make sure that both shoulder blades are on the ground. Nice deep breaths into the side of the body. And bring the legs up through centre. Just realign on your mat if you find that you've sort of moved slightly. And then dipping the legs over towards the right. Remember to keep both shoulder blades on the ground. Coming back to centre, just bring the feet to the ground. So you can set up for your Shavasana, just taking any comfortable version that you like. So whether that's with some support underneath the legs, maybe you prefer to keep the knees bent and take the feet wide, bring the knees together. Give you a nice for the lower back. Or maybe my favourite, legs up the sofa. So you could grab a chair or do legs up the wall. Just find yourself comfortable. Close down the eyes. Soften the body. Feel that support from the ground beneath you. Invite your legs to really relax and to soften. So allow the feet to splay out. Give your whole body permission to rest. You can stay here as long as you have available. I'm just going to leave you here, and I shall see you very, very soon.